There may be no more premium taco filling than steak. That's why it's also usually the most expensive taco filling. The town that I live in Japan actually raises some very good beef cows. I don't really see the cows, but I can certainly smell them, so I know they're around. I figured I would use some of the local beef to make carne asada tacos. First, we're going to make a marinade to give it as close to a traditional carne asada flavor as possible. We're going to start with juice from a lime, a lemon, and an orange, some local garlic, and an onion. Unfortunately, I'm somewhat limited as to what ingredients I can use. I wanted to add fresh jalapenos. I've heard they can be available in Japan, and I know they're sometimes available to order online, but they don't seem to be available right now. So I'm using sliced jalapenos from a jar. I got the jalapenos from Jupiter. They're kind of like a competitor to Caldi. They also sell coffee and international food, like Caldi does. Caldi usually sells sliced jalapenos too, but the last few times I went to Caldi, they were sold out. Whatever, sliced jalapenos aren't super difficult to find. I also found some cilantro, which I've chopped up and I'm going to put into the marinade. For dry ingredients, we'll add some cumin, some black pepper, a dash of oregano, and a few dashes of salt. Ideally, I would be using chipotle peppers for this, but chipotle peppers aren't so easy to find here, so I'm just using chili powder. And then for the last of the liquids, we're going to put in some olive oil and some soy sauce. The soy sauce may not be totally authentic, but it should add some salty savoriness. This soy sauce is actually from a local soy sauce brewery about 15 minutes away from me. Now that the marinade is done, we're going to put our meat in there and throw that in the fridge for a bit. But not too long. This meat looks pretty delicate. I don't want the marinade turning it into mush. After a few hours have passed, we're going to get some tortillas ready and our meat out of the fridge. Now ideally, I would be cooking this on a grill. But I don't have a grill in my tiny kitchen. I don't even have an open flame. What I have are an induction cooker and a convection oven. So I think I'll use one to cook half, and the other to cook the second half. So we're going to splash a bit of olive oil in this pan here, and then put in our beef. Now I would prefer if the meat was a whole skirt steak, but these were sold pre-cut into strips. Probably because they're usually used for like yakiniku instead of, tacos. But since these are so small and thin, they cook up fast. This is almost more like cooking bacon than like cooking steak. Except even faster than cooking bacon. And it's so marbled. I'm not even sure the olive oil was really necessary. But I figured I'd use it just in case. And it's some nice olive oil I brought back from America. We're going to get these out a lot quicker than I'd anticipated. I really don't want to overcook these. And then the other half, we're going to broil in the convection oven. We're going to set the timer to let that get hot, and then put them in. After a few minutes, we'll flip them over, and then after a few more minutes, we'll take them out. So now we have our cooked meat. Here on the left is from the skillet, and on the right is the broiled meat. We're just going to cut that up into smaller pieces. And now let's give those a taste and see which one tastes better. Oh yeah, that's really good. The seasoning is really nice, and it's just right before the verge of being overdone, but it's totally fine. Now for the broiled steak. See, that's also really good. It's a lot juicier than the other one, but I think because the skillet steak is a bit crispier, it makes the seasoning in that one stand out a bit better. It's really weird. It's almost like the exact opposite of what happened with the carnitas, where the slow cooker carnitas were more juicy, while the broiler carnitas were drier but more flavorful. But I'm actually really satisfied with how these turned out. I was worried this was going to be a waste of some good steak. I spent kind of a lot of money on all this, and I'm really glad it was actually worth it. So the question is, which of these are we going to put in the tacos? Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to put the broiled steak in one taco, the skillet steak in another taco, and then the last taco will be a mix of the two. And then for garnish, these are going to get a heaping dollop of guacamole, and some jalapenos, and some cilantro. So here are our tacos, but I think tacos as nice as these call for a margarita. And for this margarita, we're going to muddle up some jalapeno and cilantro at the bottom. And now everything is ready, so let's see how the tacos taste, starting with the skillet taco. Yeah, that is outstanding. Tastes just like how a carne asada taco should. To be fair, it could taste even more like how a carne asada taco should if it had some chipotle pepper in it, but it still tastes like a very good carne asada taco. Now the broiled meat taco. Yeah, that's also great. Super juicy. And last, the mixed taco. Now that is perfect. You get the seasoning and char from the skillet steak and the juiciness from the broiled steak, and that all comes together to taste exactly as it's supposed to. Now let's give this margarita a try. That's good, but I can hardly taste the jalapeno and cilantro. I think next time I'll have to add a bit more, or maybe muddle it a bit harder. But as for just the tacos themselves, this is an easy 10 out of 10.